Hi there, my name is Melissa. I am a member of the 501st Canadian Garrison, and I'm excited to be here for MakerFest 2020. Definitely a different environment to do it in, but I'm so happy that it's still happening this year. And I'm happy to be here to talk about the 501st and my experience with the 501st and how I got involved. So first of all, what is the 501st? The 501st is a costuming group. It's probably one of the largest costuming groups in the world. We are, as you can see on the screen, the villains of the 501st. We are the Darth Vaders, the Stormtroopers, the Boba Fett's, the Darth Mauls of the Star Wars franchise. So any villain that you can think of from Star Wars, either the movie or the cartoons, that's who we are. Our slogan is bad guys doing good, because we do a lot of good work for charities. We work with Make-A-Wish Foundation, Ronald McDonald House in Hamilton, and Sick Kids in Toronto. We also do a lot of smaller events similar to MakersFest. I've been to the Barrie Public Library for Barrie's Comic-Con. They do their own little Comic-Con. And I've done events at Big B Comics in Barrie for Free Comic Book Day. And then we've done like movie premieres and parades. So we are everywhere. I first found out about the 501st probably about 4, maybe 5 years ago. I was at an event at Big B Comics, and they were there, and I started talking to a friend of mine who was Darth Vader, and I had noticed that one of the stormtroopers was a girl, and I didn't realize at the time that girls could be stormtroopers, and I just thought it was really cool, and I'm like, that's what I want to be. Growing up, I always made my own Halloween costumes, and I always loved being in like mascot costumes in high school and hiding under a mask and just being silly and doing whatever. And I was like, this is what I want to do. So your membership into the 501st, there's no paying membership. It's a not-for-profit organization, but your membership is your costume. So in order to be a part of the 501st, you have to have a costume. And so my first costume that I made was my TK, my stormtrooper. And because stormtroopers are so recognizable, I really wanted to be a stormtrooper. Even people, surprisingly, there are people out there that have never seen a Star Wars movie, but they know who a stormtrooper is. So I was told that the stormtroopers are probably like the easiest costumes to make. I don't know if that's true, especially if you're a first-time costume builder. But I ordered my costume from a website, and my helmet came pretty much built. There was only a few little things, little tweaks that I had to do to it to make it approvable. One being that I had to like carve out a little bit from the eyes because there was some plastic overhang that wasn't supposed to be there. And then I modified the inner side. So I've installed like 4 fans on the inside of the helmet. There's a little bit of padding on the back and on the front here so that my head sits snug inside. So I had to teach myself how to wire 4 fans to 2 USB switches that connect to a USB power bar. And then I've just Velcroed them and inside. As far as the armor goes for the TK costume, I had to trim it all down to fit me. So when I ordered it, it comes like a vacuum mold. So there was all this excess ABS around the edges that had to come off. Plus, when I ordered it for a man who was 5'8", and I'm 5'6". So there was quite a bit of material that had to come off before I could put it on and wear it. Everything is put together with snaps and Velcro and elastic and glue. So when you want to learn about what you need, What we have at the 501st is the CRL, which stands for Costume Resource Library. So every detachment of the 501st of the bad guys is on this page here, and it's broken down based on their detachments. So for my Stormtrooper, I would click on the 1st Imperial Stormtrooper detachment, and then you can scroll down and see all the different Stormtroopers from all the movies. So these are from every single movie as well as the cartoon. So Rebels here is the cartoon. And then, so I did my TK Stormtrooper is the A New Hope stunt. So this is from A New Hope, the very first Star Wars movie that came out in 1977. And then here it'll show you what your costume will look like or should look like for approval. And then as you go down, it breaks everything down. So all the requirements for each piece of that Stormtrooper costume is listed right here on this page. So you can scroll through it all. You can see all the different pieces, what's required, how it needs to be put on, how it needs to be attached. And then just the blue and the red indicate the different levels. So if you're going for a level 2 certification, it tells you what you need. If you're going for a level 3, it tells you how it needs to be constructed and what needs to be put on. My TK costume is actually just the basic, so I didn't want to level up. I just liked it basic. Plus, little fans don't know the difference between the levels, and that really didn't matter to me. Now, even though this costume is made out of ABS plastic, at first it doesn't feel heavy, but after wearing it for a few hours, it really feel it the next day. So I've been a TK for 3 years now, and then I decided to build another costume. So the second costume that I decided to build was from the video game Battlefront, and it's part of the Jolly Roger Squadron, which are the TIE pilots. So the costume my second costume, which I've actually worn to MakerFest last year when I attended, was the Inferno Squad Commander's Iden Versio. So this is the helmet for Iden Versio, and this is the costume here. It's a lot less armor, which was one of the things that I was going for when I decided to build a second costume. This one here is actually made out of all fiberglass, so it's a little bit heavier. So with the less armor, it's better because it is heavier. And this one came completely unfinished, including the armor itself. Had to be all painted. The helmet had to be painted, so they had to tape off certain sections of the helmet. So first we had to sand the whole helmet. Anytime there were like little imperfections, I would Bondo it, sand it, wet sand it, prime it, and do that process a number of times. And then it came to painting, and I painted the whole thing black, and did a lot of wet sanding. I learned a lot about wet sanding and how to wet sand to give it the shine that it gives. And then once I had it wet sanded to the black that I liked, then I had to tape it all off and then paint on the red. So the whole helmet had to be covered up. The red went on. The logos on both sides are actually decal stickers that are stuck on there. And then I had to, because this one's a little bit heavier and bigger, it's padded all on the inside. And there's two, you can kind of see here, there's 2 fans, one on this side of the bottom and one here. And they're both run off of one USB power bar. But I love wearing my Inferno Squad costume a lot more, just because I can get down to certain levels. So that's how that was made. And then our optional items, which are our weapons of choice. I have my E11 blaster. So I actually took this toy here, this E11 toy blaster, made a few modifications to it, did a little bit of sanding down so it didn't look so much like a toy, and did a little paint job on it, and ended up making my own version of an E11 blaster and added a few real screws and rivets to kind of give it a more realistic effect to it, but it's still that same toy. It's seen its better days, so I need to do a few more modifications to it to fix it up and glue it back together. But there's that, and that's just made out of a toy plastic. And then when it comes to my chest box, which I'm currently working on to upgrade on my TK or my Inferno squad here, this is the chest box that will eventually sit here on the chest of, and we'll just use magnets, but this is actually all 3D printed. So you can pretty much make any costume out of anything. A lot of the some people use a lot of EVA foam for armor because it molds easily when you heat it up. But if you are definitely interested, if this is something that you'd like to do, definitely check out our website. It's the 501st. Make sure you add the st.ca, and you can get all the information about events, contacting us on how to join, donate, and you can learn a little bit more about the Canadian Garrison. Once again, thanks for having me. I really appreciate it. And I hope to be back to MakersFest in 2021, live and in person. But if you do have any questions, don't be afraid to contact me and give me a shout. Thanks again. Have a great day.